this video, we're going to talk about A.7 relations, specifically looking at domain and range. And at the end of the week, hopefully you will be able to say that you are able to find the domain and range of a function when you are given a graph. So let's take a closer look. What is domain and range? Hopefully you remember these words from your previous math classes. And what we want to remember is that domain is all of your x values or all of your input values of a function. And range is all of your y values or all of your outputs of the function. So let's take a look at what you have done before with domain and range. So on the left, we are given a table, and we want to remember that our x's are always in the left column. So all of these numbers here, -2, 1, and 2, are all our x values. So all of those are our domain. Then in the right-hand column, we've got our y's. So 5, 6, and 8, all of these are our ranges. When we look at a set of points, we always want to remember that the first numbers are our x's. And that means that the second numbers are our y's. So it's like a table. The ones on the left are the x values. The ones on the right are the y values. And if you think about it, we've got x comma y for a point. And we have domain comma range for our point because domain are our x's and range are our y's. So we're going to take the same concept and we're going to put it now in graphs. So when we look at this graph, we're asked to find the domain and range of the graph. Well, our graph here is just 3 points. So what we need to do is we need to find what is the value of this point. What is my x comma y of each point? So this point, we always do our run first. So we run -1 and we rise 1, 2, 3. So we've got the point -1, 3. And we're going to do this for all of these points. Here, we're going to run to the right 3 and we're going to go up 1, 2. And our last one down here, we are running -1, -2, and we are rising, or we're falling in this case, -1, -2, -3, and -4. So all of our points, I'm going to write them over here for us. We've got -1, 3, we've got 3, 2, and we've got -2, -4. So now if we label just like what we did in the previous slide and in your previous math classes, we have x is the first number, and then y is our second number. That never changes. So when it asks us what is the domain, well, we know that that's just x. So our domain is -1, 3, and -2. And what we like to do is we like to order them from the smallest number to the biggest number. So our smallest number is actually -2, then -1, and then 3. And that is our answer for our domain. When it asks us to find our range, well, we already did all the work. We just need to copy the answers. So our range is all of our numbers that we have labeled with the letter y. So we have, and again, ordering from smallest to biggest. We've got a 3, a 2, and a -4. So putting them in order, we're going to have -4, 2, and 3. So now you take a second and you try to figure out what are the domain and range of our red points. So hopefully you have found that this red point up here, the point is 2, 4, and our point down here is +1 and -1. So the domain would be 1 and 4, and our range would be -1 and 4. I'm sorry, our domain would be 1 and 2, our first number. If we see a graph that looks something like this, where we have lines connecting our points, for our domain, we want to look and see how far to the left does the graph go and how far to the right does the graph go. So when I look at this, I'm noticing that this point here is the furthest one to the left, right? If I follow this line, nothing else goes past that line. And if I scan to the right, follow my graph to the right, this is my furthest point to the right, and it goes through here. Nothing else goes over that. So to write our domain when we have something like this, we always write our smaller number, or a number that's on the left, X in the middle with less than signs, and our biggest number on the right. So this is saying that X, or our domain, is going to be bigger than -5, but it's also going to be smaller than -3. So our domain is inside, it's in between -5 and 3. When we look for our range, we're looking how low to how high. So if I scan my graph, the lowest point looks like it's this same point again. But I'm looking at my y value because we know that range is our y values, our y-axis. And if I scan up, I see that this is my highest point. Again, I'm looking at where is it on the x or on the y-axis. So I know my lowest point, my green one, if I follow it to the y-axis, is -2, and my highest on the y value is 6. So to write that, we write it just like we wrote domain, with the lower number first, so -2. We're still having less than signs, but instead of X, because this is range, we're putting Y. And then we put our highest number. So now you try. What is the domain of the graph, and what is the range of this graph? So hopefully you saw that the domain, far left, and how far right does this graph go, is from -2 to 7. And our range, our lowest to our highest, is from -3 to 6. So now, again, you take a turn and use the following two graphs to answer the questions on the right. Hopefully now you know how to find the domain and range of a function when you are given a graph. See you soon.